Theresa Caputo discusses finding your own style and a jeweler align with divine guidance. Be daring. Have courage. The Long Island medium talks candidly about her unique appearance and how faith helps her cope with loss. Theresa Caputo, also known as the Long Island medium, has been captivating us for years with her ability to communicate with the deceased. She is well known for her audacious personality and distinctively tease hair. She became well known through her popular reality TV show, Long Island Medium, and has since performed live and given private readings to share her gift with the world. But now that she has introduced the world to her jeweler line, divinely guided, she is enjoying a bit of a career change. Theresa is launching her line and a few new items on QVC for the first time today. The Long Island medium spoke candidly with Woman's World about her most recent launch, her favorite items from her collection, and discovering your own style. Because of her gift, Theresa has been able to connect people in the physical world to their departed loved ones in the spirit world. Her jeweler line attempts to accomplish the same thing. The items in her collection, which include charms, bracelets, and pendants, act as a tangible reminder that even though the deceased are no longer physically present in our lives, they will always be in our hearts. Helping people is what I truly want with this jewelry, and what matters most is faith, connection, and occasionally the knowledge, true knowledge and belief, that heaven and earth do indeed meet in the smallest moments. After decades of doing what I do, I've come to realize that grief transforms us. Grief transforms us, regardless of the person we lose. Although we are never the same, we must constantly remind ourselves that our faith is what truly gets us through life's challenges. I also want the jewelry to serve as a constant reminder that our loved ones will always be there for us. It will never, ever be possible to break the connection we have with our souls, their love, and their guidance. The Let the Light In pendant is one of Theresa's favorite pieces from the collection. It serves as a reminder of her resilience when things get tough. A new item included in this launch is a cross pendant made of a variety of exquisite stones that holds particular significance for her. I believe that many people lose their faith, particularly when they are grieving, and that the cross simply serves as a daily reminder of faith, love, and our constant guidance. Although the 58-year-old TV personality has always been known to have a more daring appearance, from her long nails to her blonde hairstyle, she is aware that breaking the mold is difficult. But she has one straightforward piece of advice for women who might be having trouble figuring out their own style. Be bold. Have courage. Take on challenges that are outside of your comfort zone. I've always loved beautiful things, fashion, and designer things, she adds. We don't know where you came from, my mother always says, since none of us in the family are like this. But that seems difficult to me. Personal style and fashion, in my opinion, are whatever make you feel good. It makes me feel good to get dressed, have my hair done, put on shoes, and have all of my jewelry layered. But it was a bright Saturday morning in Long Island, the sort of day when you wanted to leave the house because of the cool autumn air. Theresa Caputo had made the decision to spend the day with her granddaughter and daughter, Victoria. Just family, no work, no sessions, no spirit readings, Theresa had vowed. A coffee shop, a small Italian bakery Theresa had loved since childhood, and a sizable shopping plaza full of boutiques were their destinations. Arms linked, the three of them laughed as they strolled through the parking lot, relishing the infrequent opportunity to simply be together. While Victoria was busy perusing the dress racks inside the boutique, Theresa amused her granddaughter by displaying glittering handbags and remarking, "Oh my God, honey, this one looks like it belongs on a princess." However, Spirit had other ideas, as is frequently the case with Theresa. Theresa was waiting for Victoria to try on a dress on a couch by the dressing room when she felt a familiar pressure on her chest. Goosebumps crawled up her arms, and her hands tingled. "Oh, come on, Spirit," she muttered to herself as she briefly closed her eyes. "Not right now. Only family time," I vowed. However, Spirit never paid much attention to timetables. Looking across the store, Theresa saw a woman with a red jumper in her hand. The woman appeared preoccupied. Her eyes were far away, as though her thoughts were elsewhere. Theresa knew she couldn't ignore the urgent whisper from Spirit. She approached warily. "Pardon me," she said softly. I don't want to scare you, but I speak to spirit, and someone is strongly coming through for you. Startled, the woman blinked.
What?
Right here? In a shop? Victoria smiled and moaned as she peered out of the dressing room. Really, Ma? Without a spirit following you, we can't even go shopping? Theresa glanced at her daughter. Do you want me to disregard it, or what? With trepidation, the woman set down the jumper and said, All right. Who is it? Theresa listened with her eyes closed. It's a male. He tells me that he passed away unexpectedly. He keeps showing me a gold watch while claiming he never got to say goodbye. I feel as though he was your father because of him. The woman let out a gasp, tears welling up in her eyes. That was my father. A heart attack claimed his life last year. His favorite item was his gold watch, which he wore constantly. Theresa went on, her tone becoming softer. He claims that he doesn't want you to feel bad about missing it. He claims that you keep thinking about that night and what you could have done differently. However, he wants you to understand that it wasn't your fault. He keeps showing me the sea and seashells because he wants you to remember your trips together. The woman started to cry and gripped her chest. Every summer, we used to visit the beach. His favorite spot was there. I have been feeling as though I failed him. Theresa extended her arm and touched the woman's hand tenderly. Your dad is proud of you, honey. He just told me that you were the best daughter he could have ever asked for. Every time you hear that song on the radio, you can't help but notice that he's with you. That's him giving you a sign, he said. Through her sobs, the woman's tears transformed into a smile. My goodness, I thought I was dreaming. I think of Billy Joel whenever I hear that old song. Theresa gave a knowing nod. You're not imagining that. That's your father. Even in a clothes store, spirit knows no bounds. Other shoppers had realized what was going on by this point. While some wiped away their tears as they watched the exchange, others stood silently with their hands over their hearts. Victoria sighed as she emerged in her dress, but she was also grinning. Well, Ma, family shopping day is over. Spirit always finds you. Theresa shrugged, laughing. What am I supposed to say? Like a magnet, I am. Spirit doesn't give a damn whether I'm at Starbucks, a large arena, or Target buying socks. I must pay attention when they are trying to convey a message. The woman gave Theresa a firm embrace. I'm grateful. You have no idea how much this helped me today. Your dad knew, Theresa whispered, giving her a pat on the back. He came through so strongly because of this. Victoria shook her head and remarked, You really can't turn it off, can you? As they were leaving the boutique to go to the bakery later that afternoon. Theresa grinned.
No.
Furthermore, I wouldn't want to. For that woman, everything changed when she heard from her father today. Spirit does just that. They bring healing when we least expect it. Theresa reflected on the beauty of life and Spirit's constant entwining as they sat together at the bakery, sharing a cannoli and sipping cappuccinos. One day that will never be forgotten was filled with family time, shopping, laughter, tears, and healing. But Theresa Caputo found herself standing in front of a building that was very special to her on a sunny autumn morning in Hicksville, Long Island. From the outside, the office appeared modest and unassuming, but to Theresa, it was an integral part of her life narrative. She had first met Larry, her ex-husband and the father of her children, here years ago. Memories flooded her mind as she ascended the well-known steps. She could practically picture her younger self entering the office trembling on her first day of work, never realizing that the man she would eventually meet across the office would permanently alter her life. Larry had been funny, self-assured, and endearing. Casual conversations by the coffee maker had begun their romance, which progressed to dinners after work and, ultimately, to marriage and the birth of 2 lovely children. The connection they had remained strong in Theresa's heart despite the fact that their marriage had ended. But she wasn't just here for the nostalgia today. She had been asked to do a group reading by a local business that now occupied the office. Theresa grinned as she considered how life had completely circled back. In the same location where her own love story had started, she was going to help people connect with their deceased loved ones. While some employees appeared enthusiastic, others were doubtful as they assembled in the conference room. As usual, Theresa used her Long Island humor to start the conversation. I understand that some of you are probably wondering, why is this woman with a large hair in our office? Don't be concerned. I am not here to tell you who is stealing lunch from the refrigerator, but to deliver messages from Spirit. The tension in the room was reduced by laughter. Theresa inhaled deeply and closed her eyes. Something changed in the energy. At the back of her neck, she experienced that familiar tingle, the sign that Spirit was taking over. She remarked, "I sense a strong male presence. He seems to be relating to construction. He might be a builder or someone who did manual labor." Who in this room would comprehend that? In the rear, a middle-aged man cautiously raised his hand. "That reminds me of my father. He worked as a contractor." Theresa nodded. She could already feel the pride and warmth. "He gives me the impression that you bear a great deal of responsibility, and he wants you to know that he appreciates everything you do for the family. Does it make sense that he is saying, 'I'm proud of you, but I never told you enough when I was alive'?" The man's eyes filled with tears. He was just like that. I always hoped he felt that way, even though he didn't express it much. Theresa gave a soft smile. "Well, he's making it very evident today." She walked around the room, and more ghosts appeared. One young lady made contact with her deceased grandmother, who had taught her how to prepare Italian cuisine. A man was reassured that he was at peace in a heartfelt message from his best friend, who had passed away unexpectedly. With laughter, tears, and an unmistakable sense of love, the atmosphere in the room became more relaxed. Then, however, an unforeseen event occurred. Theresa stopped, sensing a presence that seemed to have a different effect on her heart. Her hand was pressed against her chest. "All right, this is out of the ordinary," she muttered. "I sense that someone is standing up for me." The room became silent. "It's Larry's father," Theresa whispered, her eyes misting. She thought she might see him standing in the corner, grinning like he always did. "Theresa, thank you for taking care of my son all those years," she said, hearing his familiar voice in her head as she felt a surge of warmth. "I love the grandchildren you gave me. And despite the changes, love endures forever." Theresa's professional poise faltered for a moment as she blinked back tears. The staff was amazed to see that this was real and not merely a show. In the same location where her own story began, the medium herself was being healed. She pulled herself together and chuckled softly. "That's a first, then. Spirit never passes up a chance, does it?" Each message was more poignant than the last as the reading went on for more than an hour. The once doubtful crowd changed by the end. They gave each other hugs, told each other stories, and thanked each other. Theresa lingered for a moment as everyone started to depart. She strolled down the corridor, past the desks where she and Larry used to joke around and the old break room where they used to share donuts. As though she could touch the past, she placed her hand on the wall. She muttered, "Thank you," to the memories, to the spirits, and maybe even to Larry. Theresa felt a profound sense of calm as she stepped outside into the crisp autumn air. She had experienced love, heartache, and recovery in her life. Spirit had now brought her full circle, not only to console others but also to remind her that love and continuity always exist, even in endings. She grinned as she climbed into her vehicle. Only Spirit could have orchestrated such a thing. With a lighter heart and prepared for the next phase of her incredible journey as the Long Island medium, she drove off. But Theresa Caputo invited some of her closest friends to her house on a bright Saturday afternoon on Long Island. She wanted to unwind with the people who had supported her long before the fame ever came. She had just returned from a hectic week of private readings and television tapings. The smell of freshly baked cookies filled the air, laughter echoed off the walls, and her kitchen was alive with conversation. Theresa's longtime friend Lisa, whom she had known since childhood, was one of the guests. Theresa's gift had always raised doubts in Lisa's mind. She avoided the readings respectfully, but she never denied it outright. Every time the topic was brought up, Lisa would laugh nervously and say, "I believe in you, Theresa, but I don't know if I could handle that for myself." But something changed that afternoon. The familiar tingle at the back of Theresa's neck, which she had learnt to indicate Spirit was nearby, came as she sipped her iced tea at the table. Slowly, she put down her glass and looked at Lisa, who was in the middle of telling her story about her new job. Theresa knew she was going to get a powerful message, and her heart started to beat a little quicker. "I hate to do this while we're just hanging out, Lisa," Theresa said gently, "but your dad is stepping forward." There was silence in the room. Everyone was aware that Lisa's father had died a few years prior, and even though she didn't talk about it much, her sadness persisted. Lisa tensed up in her seat and attempted to dismiss it with a laugh. "No, not today, Theresa. We are merely here to unwind." Theresa, however, was unable to ignore the message. "I understand, honey, but he's tenacious. He's trying to let you know that he's proud of all the progress you've made. He's bringing up a letter you started but never finished writing to him." Lisa's face lost its color. In fact, she had never been able to deliver the letter she had written to her father in the weeks leading up to his death. She was struck like a tidal wave by the mention of it. She held on to the table's edge. "How were you aware of that?" she muttered. Leaning forward, Theresa spoke in a steady yet sympathetic tone. "He's showing me that you put it in a book after folding it up. He wants you to know that he read it, even though you assumed no one did." Every word resonated with him. Tears filled Lisa's eyes. The weight of the room increased, as if the air itself were clinging to her sorrow. She shook her head quickly, her feelings on the verge of exploding. "No, Theresa, this is too much for me to handle." Her hands shaking, she suddenly pushed back her chair, saying, "I can't do this right now." In an attempt to reassure her, the other friends at the table told her that she didn't have to listen if she wasn't ready. However, Theresa was aware that she couldn't push the connection because Spirit only desired to bring about healing, not suffering. Theresa whispered, "I apologize if this is too much for you, Lisa. I wish to avoid upsetting you. Know that your dad is fine, and that all he wants is for you to recover." However, Lisa had already gotten to her feet, her face red, her eyes full of tears she didn't want anyone to see. "I can't do this, Theresa, even though I love you." After saying, "I thought I could handle it, but I was wrong," she quickly left the room, leaving a shock and sadness-filled atmosphere in her wake. Unsure of what to say, the remaining friends sat in silence. Theresa's heart ached because she didn't want anyone to be scared off by her gift. She was aware, however, that not everyone was prepared to confront their grief directly. Theresa sat quietly in her living room later that night after everyone had gone home. She asked Spirit to soothe her and bring her peace in whatever way she could manage, closing her eyes and whispering a brief prayer for Lisa. She trusted that the message had planted a seed, that one day Lisa would return when she was ready, and they could complete what Spirit had begun, even though she knew her friend needed time. Lisa sent Theresa a text message a few days later. It was succinct but impactful. "I apologize for leaving. I wasn't prepared, but I'm grateful. I've come to realize that my dad actually heard me." With tears in her eyes, Theresa grinned. The reading had ended abruptly, but Spirit had done its job. She realized then. Healing didn't always occur right away. It could sometimes start in the quiet, in the pauses between sentences, or in the bravery required to leave until one was ready to come back. Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Mina, and I hope you're having a great day. Remember to subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the video.